is an origin reading for Let Go. Okay, so I surrounded you a few times in some protective energies, more than usual. I was guided to do it more times than usual, and I just felt that that was necessary. And when I was getting the code name, well, there are a lot of energies in your aura that are very, very intense, especially because of how young you are. I don't normally come across someone, especially someone so young, that has so much in their auric field. Because obviously, due to being on Earth more, a lot of times people can end up with more and more in their auric field that they've collected. Normally when they're younger, they have a bit less of that, just for the reason that they haven't been here for as long of a time, so they don't have as much time to collect things in their aura. So what that really indicates is that for some reason you have a lot more energies around you that are kind of hectic, heavy, and so you've ended up with just more kind of sludge would be the way that I would describe it, because it's kind of this like heavy stuff. So as I was surrounding your aura in protective space, it just feels like as you're coming down, you're pushing through something. That's really the only way to describe it. Also, I have a lot more crystals here than normal too. Now, though, I'll just say this doesn't feel like it's coming, this energy. It doesn't feel like it's coming from you or from like some blocked area. It really doesn't feel like it's coming from you necessarily, or especially from you so much. It really feels like, so in other words, this could be anyone. You could take someone else, and if you were to put them in your specific like situation or your environment, or have the same kind of upbringing or people around them, right? If they were born, just it feels like something around you. Okay, so you can take that into account. It's not like as I'm like going, whoa, there's all these energies, blocks, da da da. Usually, like I said, it comes from things that someone has collected over years of time. But in this case, it just feels like your environment just has more energies in it. And so just for that reason, you've collected more into your space. Whereas I could put someone else, right, who's in a cleaner energetic space around them, and put them in this same environment, whatever your environment is, because obviously I'm not sure what your exact environment is, but put that person there, and I guarantee you that they would have the same stuff in their auric field, because it really feels like this is something coming from the outside of you. Especially, another thing is that nearly every crystal that I pulled, because at the beginning of the reading, I always pull the crystals that I'm drawn to intuitively. Okay, and nearly every crystal that I pulled here has to do with psychic defense. It all has to do with, there is one that has to do with clearing your chakras, clearing your auric field, but for the most part, these have to do with psychic defense. There are like 5 crystals here that really have to do with psychic defense, and 3 of them are pretty much specifically about that, specifically about defending your auric field and your energy. So it feels like, especially this one. This is my black tourmaline, And this is very deflective of things that want to come into your auric field. And then I have here my purple fluorite and my smoky quartz. So I don't know if you can get any crystals like that online or something, but they're really good to have around you. And then even just thinking about ways that you can cleanse yourself, because that's another thing I would say, that you're in an environment where you're pulling in a lot of energies really rapidly. Whereas, like I said, someone else, it would take more time. Okay, so if I put you in a different environment, your aura would be like so much cleaner than it is now. It wouldn't have any of that crap in it, especially, like I said, because you are a bit younger, you haven't been here for as long to amass that. And also, just your energy, not that stuff, right? But your energy, um, without that, it feels very, very pure on its own. It feels much higher. And that would be another reason that lower things would be more want to like accost your energy, and even the like steal your energy, because there's kind of like a vampire kind of energy around there. So like a psychic vampire, in other words. So this means it's something that kind of wants to pull from your very pure energy. And you definitely have very crystal energy. That's very much present. Even though you have this other stuff in your aura, your energy is like very firm, very high, very clear. So it just feels like there are these other energies that kind of want to intrude on your auric space and kind of pound in your aura a little bit. And another thing that I was noticing was even when I was visualizing the protective space around you, it felt like even some of what I was having to push through wasn't just this, what I was saying was like sludge. It was also this this energy from you that almost felt like a close off or like a protection. But in some ways, that's actually a good thing. Because wherever you are right now, like I said, for some reason, the environment, it just has more stuff to kind of dump. And so it feels like that's a good thing. You want to do things to protect yourself psychically. But I would say that that you need to do more. It's not just like an emotional. It's not just like a just purely this. Your energy is kind of naturally closed in some ways, which, like I said, you're protecting yourself. That's not a bad thing, but it would be good to learn just how you can effectively cleanse your auric field. That would be a really good thing to learn, and it's something that I would really do every day. That's something that I would recommend for you to do every day, and just think about shielding your energy, because you're this very pure kind of angelic frequency energy, okay? And there's like a lot of low and like vampiric energies around. So just make sure that you are really clear energetically, that you are really directly making an effort to protect yourself energetically, protect your space as much as possible. Another block that was coming up was in the throat. Okay. And one of my crystals here has a lot to do with throat. It can have to do with psychic defense as well. This is my sodalite. So this is another stone that can help with psychic defense, but it also really has a lot to do with the throat. But it does help with psychic defense as well, because it also has to do with the third eye and just with psychic activities in general. But it really does help with like speaking out, and when the throat is blocked, this has to do with your personal um, definitions of who you are, but it also has to do with your ability to be able to freely express that. So there's kind of a feeling in the throat chakra where it's not so free to always speak, or to always speak in like an authoritative way, where you're able to really say, no, this is what I want, and make things very clear. Um, in some ways, again, that has to do with things around you. And um, so even if you can't always do that, like, okay, normally normally when I pick up on something in the throat, it feels like, and there's like a block with freedom of expression, and the person maybe can't set a boundary or something. Their guides are coming in this really strong way. They're like, hey, you know, you need to get better at setting boundaries. You need to, say this or say that, defend yourself. This doesn't really feel like that. In some ways, this kind of feels like you're not really, I don't want to say capable of doing that, because, there's always a way. There is always a way to be capable of anything. There really is. But at the same time, sometimes, depending on whatever this is that I'm picking up on, that's on the outside of you, sometimes, intruding into that too much, it's like sometimes there's an appropriate way to still get your way, if you know what I mean. um, where where what is this? It feels like you are not really open always, where you're not really allowed to have that kind of freedom, um, where you could just break this block in your throat simply by stating your opinions and being firm and this and that. It seems like you can only go so far with that, and you don't want to go too far with that, and it feels like that's understandable in your case. It feels like you should be a bit guarded. It feels like, you should um, keep certain things to yourself, which, like I said, isn't what I normally get when I'm giving a reading. I don't normally get such an energy like that, especially if there's a block in the throat that's coming from you not being able to speak. It's normally the opposite approach that a guide takes. Normally a guide says, um, hey, break that boundary, speak up. But in this case, it feels like your guides are saying, um, we're protecting you, and for your safety, there's really a right way. It's like they're keeping you safe, you know. Um, so it feels like they kind of want you to use your head, and you can be free. It feels like in your own space, you're really in your own space, you're allowed to do anything. Obviously, in your own space, you can be free. In anybody's mind, they can think whatever the hell they want. In your own mind, you can think whatever you want. In your own mind, you can respond to anybody however the heck you want, right? Even if you can't say something out loud. So I would also say allow those thoughts, at least allow your inner self to express itself and find ways that are appropriate that you can get away with. Find ways that are appropriate to whatever this energy is, where you can still attack this block. You can still speak freely in your own way, in the way that you're able to. Because it does feel like it does feel like you can still get away with a lot of things. You just have to do it in the right way. You have to do it in a smart way. And then eventually, obviously, get out of that environment if you're able to. Obviously, that would be something to that would be something to try and do later on, obviously, is when you're able to, move, get out of this environment. But your energy is very high, very clear. That's part of the reason that your guides really want you to protect your space. Because I also feel like most people in your environment, they would have all this stuff in their auric field, but it feels like they would really go along with it. And it feels almost like it would just sort of mesh into their energy, because their energy more goes along with it. And that's the thing about your energy. It's very different. It's very clear. It's very high. So you can sense, this is who I am. And you can really feel that difference of the stuff going on outside of you and where you are on the outside of you versus who you are on the inside of you and what's going on the inside of you. And there's this major difference where you don't fall for so many things. I won't say you don't fall for everything, but even that can be a protection to go along with certain things, even inwardly in your case. It just feels like you almost have to in some ways. And moving out of that environment later on, you might come to some different conclusions about things, where you've concluded certain things right now. That might change later on when you're actually in a freer space and you're able to think opposing things. So you just really have to be true to yourself as much as possible in your current energy environment. But there's this energy of freedom, and your guides want you to be free. Your guides want you to let go, and they want you to experience that, at least in your own mind, and to really value your own inner personal space, and to really value your separate thoughts and understand your energy field and this angelic frequency that you have and that you are, and that it is different and that it needs to be treated very differently. Even though there's this energy of no, everybody should just be like we say that they're supposed to be. Everybody should fall in line and they should act a certain way and talk a certain way and dress a certain way and think a certain way. And so it just becomes this sort of beehive, where you have this hive mind. Everybody's doing the same types of things. And you are different. You're not really falling for things so much. I feel like you do have some others. There's an energy like that. Like you do have some friends that you can speak to, who are a little bit more like you, and they're a little bit more lenient towards your energies and your energetic field, not this stuff that's blocking it or that comes towards it, but your energy. So I do feel like there are some people who are more open to that, and you can be more open to them. So it really is about finding your place and deciding and realizing, you know, who you can be open with, and how to pursue your goals and your desires, and to really value that and to make that a priority as much as you can, because your guides want you to have as much freedom as you possibly can. They really want you to feel free, but also they want you to feel adequate as well. There's just this feeling. There's just this feeling like you are adequate and you are pure and you're beyond a lot of others around you, and you if anything, you're more evolved than a lot of others around you, and spiritually you have a much higher frequency than many others around you. It doesn't matter, you know, their color or their gender or their race or their religion or anything. It doesn't matter who anybody is around you or how they act physically around you or what they think of themselves around you. What matters is your pure energy. What matters is your pure energy and really, really keeping that pure. And that's who you are. So there's just this energy coming in like you are not inferior to others. And that no matter what anybody else thinks of you or anybody else's opinion or how they come across, or even like people can be arrogant sometimes, and they can treat others in an unworthy way, and they can have thoughts about people that they direct towards them. Okay. And in your environment, I feel like there are a lot of thoughts, judgments that are directed towards you, but because of the environment, not because of you. I feel like that would be happening to anybody in your position, in your environment. So again, not specifically you. Really feels like kind of everyone. But there's this very, very angelic energy with you. Very pure, crystalline, very angelic energy with you. So a very crystal child energy for sure. And a very angelic energy, very pure energy. And I do pick up on a starseed energy, but for some reason your guides aren't really stressing a specific planet right now. They're more talking about your energy, and they're stressing this angelic energy that you have. Now, there are some races in space that come across that way, that you have a very angelic, divine kind of energy. They're on like an angelic frequency. There are different races that are on different frequencies. Okay, so this is not to say that you aren't a starseed, because I do pick up on that energy as well. But for the time being, even though your guides are, they are confirming that. So they are confirming this starseed energy as well. I definitely pick up on that from you, that you are a starseed for sure. But like I said, they're not really stressing where you're from or some specific planet or something, and they're not really stressing the space part. They're more stressing this divine quality that you have, this very angelic energy that you have, this pure energy that you have. So that's really what they're wanting to stress and what they're wanting to say and bring forward is this very angelic um, quality that you have, this gentle quality that you have, where you're very, it's this very divine, kind of pure, innocent energy. And they want you to hone that and keep that intact as much as you possibly can in your environment. But part of the way to do that is, again, protecting your energetic space and also learning to cleanse yourself. You know, there's got to be something that you can do where you are cleansing yourself every day of these energies, even if it's just with you know, asking your guides to help clear it, and maybe doing some visualizations, even if it's just purely an inward thing. But I would say if you can come up with something physical that you could do also, that would be good as well. Like for instance, when I'm helping to clear someone, like I'll use a crystal and I'll visualize that the crystal is clearing the person. If the person were actually in person, so if they were out in front of me versus I'm doing the reading at a distance through a picture, if they were right there with me, obviously I would just be, you know, bringing the crystal down their arm or whatever, and literally going over any blocks that I was feeling that way. So if you can get a hold of any crystals, if you can buy some crystals, that would be one way to do it. Salt is another way that people cleanse their rooms or cleanse their auras. But a lot of it can be done with just purely affirmations and visualizations. So just things that you say out loud or even in your head, and just a visualization. You're surrounded in light, or you're surrounded in protective energy, calling your guides. But you have a very angelic energy. You have a very pure energy, very crystalline energy. It's very high, it's very clear, and it's intact despite whatever this energy is that I'm picking up on so intensely. I know you know what it is. That whatever this energy is, despite all that, yours remains intact. And yours remains clear underneath all of that stuff. And eventually, I feel like you're going to move out of this. But in other words, physically, you'll go somewhere else. I feel like eventually, that's going to have to happen. Like almost like that's just your natural path. And there will be a way. There will be a way that you find. There'll be a way that's made for you to do that. But until that happens, just keep your energetic space very clear because of how high and how pure your energy is, and how protected it needs to be, because it is very sacred. So your guides want you to value that and honor that, and know yourself in the midst of anything around you or any opinions around you, and know that they really look on you very highly. And to them, there are some people around you, or maybe even a lot of people around you, you know, who, like was coming in before, can kind of look down on you or kind of judge you or see you as inferior. But your guides are saying you have to realize, not in an arrogant way, but that in some ways you are more superior in a way, not in an arrogant way, but in the way of you're more advanced. Um, and you belong to a higher energy field. Um, and that's the current that you're really on, and they are really on a much lower current than you, which is why they have judgment, which is why they have these harsh energies that they put out. Okay, so that is the end of this reading. That is all that your guides have to say for now. And thank you so much, Let Go, for allowing me to do this reading for you. I really appreciate the opportunity to read you, and I truly hope that it benefits you. Thank you so much. Namaste.